Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm excited because I feel like we've got a continuation of the divine feminine and talking about how the divine feminine and its role and its priorities that need to really be felt right now and what we can do about that. This is a channeled message, by the way. And I wanted to share a little bit more about it. So I did do there's another channeled message. You probably want to go listen to it. It's a divine one right below this one. Go listen to it in it because it had a lot of good juicy stuff. And here's kind of a continuation of it. Okay, so there has been an energetic flow, is what they've been saying. There has been an energetic flow of more femininity coming out. And I think that in some aspects, femininity for me, the energy of femininity also has the potential of love. And love is, as we know, should really be the thing that rules the world, right? Not fear. And so we are progressively working through these false narratives in regards to the fear mongering that is put on the planet in order to manipulate people into doing things that don't necessarily resonate with their alignment, right? And that's why the age of Aquarius is becoming so important because everyone gets to fly their freak flag, meaning you get to be your unique, juicy self, which is why I've always so been thrilled about human design because it gives such a detailed look at who you are. It's so affirming to have an understanding of your human design and some of your astrology. I'm also an astrologist, so I believe in both of them, but I really, really love human design. And part of all of this coming out, why we've been working our way towards understanding more about the feminine, which in essence means opening up to unconditional love, means that we all had to try to find a way to peek through the fear mongering, the curtains per se, and say, oh my God, this is who I really am. Okay, well, there's some things I got to work through because there's been a lot of fears that have been stimulated around me for me showing up to who exactly it is I now can understand more deeply. And some of you know it without human design. I'm not saying you have to have that. Please know that. And so the divine energies have been popping up in really cool ways during the channeling sessions. And trust me, they're here. I am a conscious channel. Sometimes I close my eyes, sometimes my eyes are open. I'm learning just to go with the flow with it. And because I'm not channeling live in front of somebody, I usually can have my eyes open and do it. So here's what the message is. The divine feminine has been showing up progressively more and more and more women. Women are waking up. A lot of women are starting to realize even the impositions that religion has put upon women and their roles in religion, right? And even the concept of that God is a masculine energy, he is the father energy, really has been a very sneaky way for women to feel less than and not even acknowledge it. Like there's so many women I talk to that still don't understand what that has done to their psyche. And there's nothing wrong with loving God or universe or source or the divine or the infinite creator, whatever you call it. That doesn't matter. But I do bring that forth because there has been a lot of people who have started to kind of come out of religion to say, wow, I cannot even believe the undertone conditioning that has been apparent for women for so long, and we didn't even realize it because we've been taught quietly that it's a male that's in control. And that does do something to your psyche. You typically, if you feel that way, you probably you could unconsciously, people could unconsciously feel like then the male aspect has more power over me, or I need to trust the male energy more than I can trust the female energy. And that is the thing that the divine feminine is coming up pretty strongly to say right now. Like, listen, you can't believe that. Like, you can say that God's a male as long as you truly understand that the tone that the feminine has just as much power. Now, here's the other thing that they really want to make clear. There is a purpose why we have male and female energies. And I don't even want to say male and female. That's not what they're saying. They're saying masculine and feminine because every person has both of them. But what has happened for centuries now is that male has been pushed forward as having more substance, as having more abilities to um, have what they desire, and that the female is like a bipartisan. It's like a backup step. Now, this may not be true for you. And if it doesn't, that's awesome. This is more of a message for all of us really starting to understand that the divine feminine isn't about blasting through and saying, I'm better than. In truth, this divine feminine is, can we finally find the balance between the masculine and the feminine energies? People have been talking about this for, at least 50 to 60 years, right? Maybe longer, maybe 70 years. And then, of course, there's always voices beyond that. But the divine feminine now wants us to really step forward and understanding that love is, of course, always the answer. But love itself has a what people would consider a very soft energy. It is the heart center. It is the thing that actually science is showing that the heart actually dictates to the brain, but we've been trained to believe what the brain says instead of what the heart says. That's why meditation and qigong and tai chi and yoga, all that stuff has become more prominent, right? Because people on the Western end of our cultures are starting to understand that the head is not truly the place that gives us the answer. It's really within ourselves. It's our intuition. It's those senses that we all have in the body. So, the message to anybody out there who is going through maybe a life transition or a business transition, you're stepping out and you want to follow your passions, is how do I step into my sovereignty, knowing that I probably have a little bit of fear mongering that still resides in me because me stepping fully into my alignment as a feminine, as a divine feminine energy means that I have to understand how I want to do things in my life and in my business has validity and can be supported in this world now. And that's pretty new. Like we've all seen successful women in specific, positions, but it still isn't a major thing because a lot of women, right, at certain ages between, I don't know, end of 20s to your later 40s, you're kind of cocooned. If you choose to have children, that can become the focal point. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with any of this. But there's also an imbalance saying that you cannot do the thing. You can't be in alignment with your purpose or the charge of your life or your life purpose and not have the ability to still support yourself financially on this planet. Like the survival mode that we've all been living in is old and outdated, and we don't have to play in that energy anymore, is what they're saying. Like that energy is gone. Some of us are still playing in it because it's been running through our lineage for a really long period of time. And so what they're saying is that we all as tapping into more of that divine feminine need to understand that how and what you want to do is viable and it's needed, and that love does rule, and love can be fiery, right? It can have passion. And that for everybody on the planet, I don't care what your energy type is. I don't care where your signs are on your astrology chart. Every single person on the planet should only be doing the things that they're passionate about and letting go of the rest of it. But that stirs up fear and survival mode, which we have all been steeped in on this planet. So, what they're saying is why they're making such a big presence to be known now is for each one of us to really step into the ideology of the outside world is going to try to scare me, which means that I'm allowing the outside world to show me if I can be successful or not in life. And if I have to have someone tell me how to be successful in life. And that's not true sovereignty. True sovereignty lies in that it doesn't matter what the outside world is telling us. We have the power to work through situations and still own who we are 100% and know that we're fully supported in it. That's huge. Um, and I and the urgency that this has been coming through, and it finally hit me today. I was looking through astrology and I was looking through the transits that are coming up, right? And transits are just stories, right? They don't dictate how things are going to evolve, but they do give us the playground in which might show up. And a lot of us are becoming really good observers, right? Especially the divine feminine. excellent at observing, but we get tripped up in the fear of like, well, I'm not doing it like they're doing it. So shit, I can't be successful. Probably should not have sworn. Shoot, I am not successful. Okay. So sovereignty means that with these transits that are coming up, they're the outer planets in astrology, which means that they have a collective force to them all. So we got Uranus going, uh, when I say reversal, it's not the word. Uranus is going retrograde. That's the word, retrograde. Neptune, Saturn, Pluto's been, and there is this like almost diabolical collisions of squares and oppositions happening with all of these major planets starting now. I'm talking to you at the end of August and truly until like next June, I want to say. And some of it is going to be that there's going to be some false narratives that come up that are going to try to control and dictate. And I think it's really going to have an effect on the divine feminine energy that's just learning to grow and populate and say, oh my gosh, I can follow that passion and I can do what I really want to do and I can have financial backing behind it. Like this is a whole new world. And the narrative on the outside world is probably going to try to shake your tree on that. It's going to try to go to pivot you to go back into fear if you choose so, or into worry or into self-doubt. And so this message is really to say, if you're ready to own that divine feminine of who you are and to embrace it and to say, oh my gosh, I can lead with love. I don't ever have to come on and pretend to be somebody that I'm not, or think that I have to market myself this way, or I have to share my life with somebody who does not resonate with me because I live in fear that things aren't going to work out for me. And the energy is you need to ask us and invite us in so that we can help you. You need to become the observer to see the falsities because the divine feminine also trusts its intuition. It knows its intuition. And it's fully learning to develop it. It's not worried about being called things such as witches or Wiccans or whatever, or voodoo or whatever people call things that are really about the divine feminine, which is being in touch with your internal knowing system, the thing that you were born with, that every single person has spidey senses. Everybody has psychic abilities. Everybody has intuition. You don't come into this earthly form without that stuff. Your areas of which you're good at vary. And that could be lineage stuff, and that could be your galactic stuff. That could be a bunch of things, right? But the idea is the divine feminine houses that area. And that's the thing that has really been kicked out of us, that we're not allowed to trust that we're supposed to follow these rules that other people have put upon us in order to be sovereign, in order to be holy, in order to be loved, right? And we are here to say enough is enough. I'm going to trust myself and I'm letting go of the labels that other people have superimposed upon me. And again, that's the joy and the bliss of really learning about yourself without the filters of other people. That's where something like human design can give people that perfect look at this is truly who you came here to be. Like, this is a part of it. You get to grow it how you want to grow it. You get to ignore what you want to ignore, right? Like, we all have our own power. It doesn't mean that's who we become. It is a guidance system. It is like if you were going to build a home, how would you want the home to be built? On a solid foundation. And so, in truth, if we truly can understand these factions about ourselves, then the work becomes powerful just by you showing up as yourself and being in balance with the masculine and the feminine within you. But that feminine part of most women still has to be popped out. Like, it's okay to say that you channel. It's okay to say that you're really intuitive and that you get that. You're really here to say like, oh, my passions are this, but no one's ever told me that, I have value because I've raised children. And if you were to think about it in the reverse order, if women couldn't give birth to children, right? And the males did that, I'm sure during this lifetime that I've lived that the men somehow, some way would have gotten money in order to stay home and take care of the children. But for somehow and so way, and listen, I'm not bashing men in this. This is not a man woman type of thing. This is really truly understanding and identifying the frequencies between the feminine and the masculine because we have both. But it does tell me that, there are other places that there are other planets out there that really do revere this idea of what we're able to do and how women should never, or the feminine should never be, see, I still mess those two things up, but the feminine energy still is the area that needs to be nurtured from both, um, if you identify yourself as male or a female. And I think in truth, maybe that's why there's also a blending of people saying, I don't identify with being male or female. I think that's cool because I think that there's a sense of people maybe really trying to figure out like there's something else out there besides just having these two identities. So please know that I understand it to that amount, right? Like I haven't studied it or interviewed a lot of people who identify themselves that way. But just saying that I think that there's potential in learning why somebody would feel like a they or a them. And I think that there is just so much potential in all of us starting to own more of that feminine so it has the perfect balance of who we are and who we came here to be, right? Because we have to have, without one, the other one doesn't exist. It's that duality that we live here on this planet. So all the goddess energies are asking, all the feminine energies are asking, be more empowered, right? Don't live by what other people have told you you were or what you should have been by ancient stories that really were dominated by men and were written by, a very masculine dominating force. And then just to go beyond the male, female, feminine, and masculine is just people who are in power and in control, right? This is the part that they didn't want people to start learning and talking about because within it, we don't have to take anybody's authority but our own. You need to become your own guru. But that's a scary thing because we've been kicked out of us not to trust our inner voices, and to delineate the differences between what is my divine wisdom and what is my ego. Again, there's duality that goes on there, but more than not, start to trust it. And the divine feminine also needs to learn to support the divine feminine and not bash it and not tell it it's bad or it's wrong. Um, I've heard a lot of people telling me that, like, I've never had a great, feminine relationships with other people. There's been more, trash talking, which surprises me because I don't feel like I've seen that a lot, but people are telling me that. And so the divine feminine is asking that we all become more aware of supporting one another, even if people are pivoting and going into different directions that may not feel authentic to you or it may not resonate with you. We still get to support everybody who's going through their own transitions in a way because we know that what they're doing is good for them and what I'm doing for myself is okay. The only time we get a little stirred up about it is if we see somebody growing and going into a different direction that you don't understand. It all of a sudden puts that mirror up for us to say, ooh, what am I not doing? And so we project. We're done projecting. Sovereignty means walking through any situation that's thrown into you, but trusting your own inner strength, trusting the divine feminine, trusting your instincts on things. Okay, I think that's complete. They feel like they are like cheering on the other end. Let me know what you think. Let me know if this resonates or doesn't resonate, right? Like, um, always speaking with love though, because love always wins. Many blessings, you guys.